You guys watch the fight Saturday night?
What fight?
Yeah.
That wasn't a fight. That was a misunderstanding.
That was a misunderstanding. My bad.
All you needed was a vine.
She misunderstood what she was in there with Ronda.
She's undefeated. It's the 5th time she defended her bantamweight title. It's the 2nd time she's done it in seconds, folks. Last fight, Ronda Rousey took down her opponent in 16 seconds. This time, Cat Zingano went down in 14 on the vine.
Are you almost embarrassed by how easy it's become for you right now?
Easy.
You make it look that way.
Oh, well, if it looks like that, it isn't really. There's so much hard work and preparation, and the months of anxiety and all those things that's really the hardest part. You know, I go to the gym and I fight every day, but it's the build-up and what it really does to you mentally that really takes a toll on you. So I'm very happy to get a rest. I'm exhausted, even if it doesn't look like I should be.
I've always been told if you make it look easy, it means it's very, very difficult. I've always been told that. However, you called it a misunderstanding. I'll start with you first then, Freddie.
This was not
difficult. This is what she said. Did you not just hear what
well, I'm not going to challenge her.
Yeah,
I don't want to get arm guard by her, and then I'm tapping out. No, I don't want any part of that.
It was this fight good for UFC?
Completely good for UFC because you have a star. No one thought in a million years that a female would sell out Staples Center for a UFC fight. People knew exactly what they were going to get into. I don't think they knew 14 seconds later they'd be heading out to the parking lot after the fight was over. But this is completely great when you have somebody with that kind of charisma, when you have somebody that understands that she's good. She's not worried about if you don't like it. She's going to be out there and say, this is what I do. I'm Ronda. This is how I get down. If you don't like it, that's on you. If you do like it, hey, come aboard. But this is exactly what a sport like this, women's UFC, which is still fledgling in my opinion, because nobody knows anybody outside of Ronda.
Right.
Which I'm fine with. If that's going to be your star, she's going to do for UFC what we saw what Mike Tyson was able to do in the 80s and 90s in boxing. Even Chuck Liddell, who was one of the UFC MMA all-time greats, he said, man, I'm with her. If she's going to continue to do this, it's going to raise the profile. I don't think anybody was complaining that, oh my God, this only happened 14 seconds. They were like, oh my God, she made her tap out in 14 seconds. How is that bad for UFC in the sport? Well, so you probably spent $80 on pay-per-view.
No, I didn't spend $80. Look, I think Ronda Rousey is great for the sport. She's the perfect face for it. You know, she's in the SI swimsuit issue, and yet she's got this tough side where she can kick you-know-what out of anybody she faces. She's a movie star. She transcends the sport. She's bigger than the sport. Dana White even admitted as much afterwards. But as far as this specific fight goes, I think it's a bad thing because I think people want to see. If you go watch somebody that's great at what they do, you want to see a lot of it. And you want to see her craft in work. You want to see it played out. And we didn't get to see it. So this is, out of the 5 fastest fights in UFC history, she has 2 of them, 14 and 16 seconds. And you could hear when Dana White was interviewed after the fight, he tried to deny it and said all these people were excited, nobody's disappointed. But there were some boos in the background from the crowd. And then especially when Zingano got her moment in the with the media, I thought that was... it was awkward. I don't think she handled herself very well, which I don't know how I would handle myself either.
Yeah, if I got armbarred, I wouldn't handle myself well either.
You want to see greatness. You want to see it challenged. You want to see somebody have to overcome and have to overcome adversity, and we haven't seen that with Ronda Rousey yet. And until she does, I think people would say the next time, well, maybe not. And they'll try to sell a competitor. They'll try to sell a challenger, somebody who's worthy and who can, you know, put up a test. But until she gets that test, I think it's bad for the sport.
This was perfect for the sport because everybody on social media watched the fight in its entirety. I think if the fight had gone, but for real, like if the fight had gone 25 minutes, like a full championship bout, nobody's going to commit that time. A fan of UFC who's just sort of
a casual.
They're not that long anyway, though. It's not like a 15-round fight. They don't go that long.
Well, they could go 25 minutes.
Yeah,
5 rounds.
Not that long.
But you're not going to pull out your phone. You're not going to pull out your phone and be like, I can watch the fight.
You can watch the knockout.
Yeah, but you're not going to watch it all. You're not going to share it. It was a shareable moment. I mean, we're in a world right now where, like, we care about Jimmy Fallon. How much of us stay up and watch him? We watch it on YouTube. We're like, check out this clip. Same with Keith Olbermann. Like, you got to have bite-sized pieces. That's what Ronda Rousey has done. And she's made it completely shareable. That moment went viral in a way it never would have gone viral if it had been a longer fight. Now, I think she's fine carrying the sport for 3, 4 more fights like this.
Sure.
Do I think in the long term she needs a rival? Absolutely. In the long term, she needs a rival. But she's not just good for UFC. She's good for women's sports and female athletes because she's not afraid to be controversial.
Right.
She's not afraid to mix things up. And you see a lot of women's sports, oftentimes they're just talking about being role models and they want all the positive media. And Ronda Rousey, she says stuff about her opponents that's dynamic and interesting and controversial. So I think she also sets a path that women's sports in general should follow, not just the UFC.
Well, bring so many eyeballs to the sport.
Let me ask you a question, Danny. So you don't think it was good for the sport? Is because and I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're trying to say. Is because you want a little more theater? You want it to go a little longer?
Yeah, absolutely. If I paid $80, or if I paid whoever knows how much the people who went to see it in person, you wouldn't feel like you got robbed, like you got cheated because you only got to see 14 seconds of a fight.
No, I got a moment.
Everybody that's talking about it is talking about the undercards being more entertaining than the fight itself.
I actually watched it and the undercards were not.
Right. You give me dominance.
Yeah.
I'm good with dominance. You give me somebody who went out there and destroyed somebody and was
So you're telling me if you went to watch an NBA game, you wanted to watch LeBron, and let's say he played Houston the other day, and they would have won by 30 or 40 points, you would have been okay with that? You would have felt
LeBron scored like 60? Absolutely. Because he's a dominant player. If you flip it around, because they put on the Houston Rockets Twitter handle, like there's a new King James.
Down to the wire that's close.
But that's not reality. We would love to get that all the time, but let's face reality.
That's what I'm saying. We would love to see that. We didn't get it.
That's fine.
I don't think it was good.
I live in this world, and I know that dominance happens sometimes, that when you get that, I'm not going to have a lack of appreciation for it. She went out against this one was undefeated Zingano. Kat went out there, she had a game face on, and the next day, boom, 14 seconds.
You pay money to witness something special.
And you got something special.
And you got a moment.
You got a complete
if I was in the
moment.
Staples Center, I would talk about that. I'd be like, I saw that moment.
But you were talking about a sport that's been plagued with unworthy contenders, and going back to boxing, but now to UFC, does that start to creep in where people say, man, they created this opponent that was supposed to be the one that could knock her out, that could bring her down, and then you watch that fight and you think she really could have? I don't think so.
To make my Tyson comparison, even when he was knocking guys out, he knocked out Joe Frazier, Marvis Frazier in 58 seconds. You know what we talked about after that? Said, who's next that's going to get knocked out in the same amount of time? That's going to happen with Ronda Rousey. Now, to Kate's point and to your point, if this goes on 5 or 6 fights and you can't find anybody, then yeah, it's going to be completely bad. But a lot of people talking about Ronda Rousey before the fight. Plenty of people. This made Good Morning America and the Today Show. They've never talked about UFC with a woman on both of those shows ever in their life. And they talk because more people are going to say
publicity is good publicity.
No, but this is great publicity. This is not good
publicity. It's not bad. But it's excellent for the sport. She really. I'm
100% agreeing with that.
You're just saying the fight wasn't great for the sport.
Right. Absolutely.
The fight was fantastic.
I want to see more.
All right. We're all against you on this one. How do you feel?
You know, I'm used to it.
3-1. You ready?
You are used to it. Ask Paul Feinbaum and his listeners.
All right, we leave it there. Coming up next, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I got, again, Kate Fagan, Danny Cannell, Freddie Coleman. We're weighing in on Dez and DeMarco. Dez gets the franchise tag. DeMarco tests free agency. What in the world is happening in Dallas? Plus, was the Mike Scott dunk on Bradley Beal the best in-game dunk last month? I don't know. What do you think? One more time. All right. I'll ask an expert. Dominic Wilkins will weigh in on whether or not that was. We'll be right back in just a few moments, folks.